So the tea that you manufacture, the teas come from Sri Lanka.
We buy it from a Sri Lankan co-packer, but we pack all of this here in Southern California.
What was the hardest part about launching an Ayurvedic brand in the US market?
I'd say regulations definitely.
The way we drink Indian chai is, we boil water, add tea, and then we put milk after it boils, right? So is
Yeah.
there a problem in that?
No, I don't think Ayurveda has anything against chai.
These are the products that were already existing in the market, right? Like what differentiates your Nama Water and Ayurvedist?
My first brand came about where really passionate about sustainability, trying to cut down on my own waste and plastic pollution. So a lot more people like you and me want to do good. They're not trying to hurt the planet. 95% of bottled water today, it's still in plastic.
I was also thinking to start something, like a healthy brand. So if someone wants to start a wellness brand or CPG brand in the US, what should they validate before quitting their job? So let's get started. Thank you so much, Deepika, to be in my channel. It's called Mindfulness with Manish. Today, I am joined by Deepika, who is the founder of Ayuvedist and Nama Water. Deepika has gone through a long career in Google to build conscious customer and consumer brands rooted in sustainability and Ayurveda and longevity. Her journey includes healing from long COVID, carrying forward an Ayurvedic legacy, and launching a modern wellness brand in the US market. This conversation is all about healing, building, and living well without overwhelming people. So let's get started. Thank you, Deepika, again to be in my channel. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where are you coming from? Which part of the world you belong, and then your journey a little bit, and then we can get started. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Manish, for having me. It's a pleasure. So I'm Deepika. I grew up in India. I grew up in Hyderabad and got an opportunity to work at Google in the States in 2015, about like almost over 10 years ago, and moved to San Francisco. So spent all my time, for the longest time, I was in Google for about 12 years. But then last few years, I had this itch as to where am I going to live my values. I know Google's doing great things, but still wanted to have my journey of having to full time spend on something I really truly believed in. So, which is why I started to look at what do I really care about, and that's where Nama Water, my first brand, came about. Where really passionate about sustainability, trying to cut down on my own waste and plastic pollution impact, and that's where I created Nama Water. And so 3 years ago, I quit my job to do this. And then just last year, having gone through the journey of entrepreneurship, understood like 2 years building Nama Water and understanding what the drill is, I realized that I've been overlooking my health and having personally been impacted by COVID, already it wasn't in a good shape. So that led me to my second brand, which is Ayurvedist, and we'll talk about that more. But mostly coming out of a place where things that I really care about in my life, values or products that reflect my values, is where I wanted to start my journey, and that's what I do now, focusing all my time building these brands.
Got it. Yeah, I think this is amazing. Um, One thing I know we're going to talk about more about the products and all, but these are the products that were already existing in the market, right? Like what differentiates your Nama Water and Ayurvedist? Yeah.
Sure, a good question, and I get that all the time, particularly for number water. Hey, it's just water. There are other aluminum bottles. Like, why you? I always go back to people be like, so is plastic pollution over? Like, does that mean there are no plastic bottles out there, or is like, or do you think like two or four or 10 companies can solve for the $300 billion plastic bottle market globally? I personally think that's not the answer, and that's where like I saw that there is more innovation needed. Sure, we could improvise on, hey, we can come up with the next best material, which is not aluminum, not plastic, not glass, and then provide sustainable solutions. Yes, but as a starting point today, looking at the market, looking at where customers are, people are not out there, Manish, to go trash the planet, right? When you end up buying a plastic water bottle, you don't do this so that oh, it lives on Earth for 1,000 years. That's not your intention. So a lot more people like you and me want to do good. They're not trying to hurt the planet, but with our actions, because let's say most 19, even 95% of bottled water today, it's still in plastic.
Hmm.
So given that, I understand there are a few companies who are doing it. It's not enough was the answer. And even today, like, should I continue building it? Is it still needed? Is another tea brand needed? There is definitely that space where there is opportunity. Let's say with Nama Water, it's just a huge market, a lot more people who want to create that impact, but too few solutions was the gap. But for Ayurvedists, it was totally different. Like Ayurvedas could have been teas, it could have been supplements, it could have been anything, but really it was more about Ayurveda for the Ayurvedist tea product. So it's more coming from a place where do we meet customers who are out there who are looking for products like these in order to make their lives easier.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. So the products were already existing. You were just, the niche is still there, the demand is still there, so you are just adding. Like plastic is like maybe 80 to 90% of the market is occupied with plastic. I still see aluminum, but that is very less. So that's where you are adding the value.
Yes.
Got it. So before Ayurvedist and Nama Water, what was actually breaking in your body or life that forced you to slow down? Was there a moment where you realized you couldn't push through anymore? Something deeper needed to change?
Yes, yes. And I feel like there were always those signals. I don't know what your 20s were like. I powered through my 20s, even though these signals were there. I was too busy chasing the next promotion at Google, chasing the next travel bucket list item, and ignoring everything that my body was trying to tell me. But what happened with COVID is everything changed. I was in New York. This is like March 2020, and I was patient zero. Like I was hit by COVID the hardest, like the raw virus. And I still remember like 10 days flat out, no work, had to take time off Google. And this is alone in my apartment in New York City. And I had like such bad COVID. Like I felt like those were my last few days. I don't know how I made it out
Hmm.
because doctors were trying to treat me virtually. Like they were also figuring out. So they were saying that, oh, try this, try that. And then I wasn't in the best shape to go get medicine out there, and like all the services were busy, so it was hard for medicine also to come to me. So it was like a terrible 10-day period, but that was not exactly what changed me. What happened is I got through it. Okay, very grateful. I still have a life and I made it out of COVID. But the lingering effects of long COVID meant that I developed asthma, and deteriorating gut issues meant that I had heightened allergies and acid reflux. So all of these things became a part of my life. But before 2020, these were not there. So that was like the real eye-opening moment when my body was shutting down. It did shut down during COVID. And after that, it was always like in low power mode. And then I was always trying to push through, still chasing that next promotion, chasing like trying to start the next startup. And that those were the times. Luckily, I realized that this is the time where I'm almost 30. I need to take a pause and listen to my body and started to make the investments that were needed. Does that mean my allergies and asthma is fixed? No, but at least I have a better relationship with my body right now, thanks to that turning point. But yeah, still a work in
Yeah,
progress.
I think COVID, changed a lot of people. Even I remember myself, we were stuck in one place.
Hmm.
And, in one of the companies, I was let go. So that
Hmm.
gave me some time to, look into me and,
Yeah.
do something which I really like, which is this podcast. That's
Okay,
where I started this podcast and
nice.
all during COVID times. Yeah. Cool.
Hmm.
So, my next one is you have spoken openly about long COVID. What did that experience teach you through health that high performance and success never could?
It's a good question because, like I said, like my 20s were all about like career and ambition, moving from India to Google, San Francisco, and then from San Francisco to New York and living the high life. And then what I realized as COVID made me slow down, it meant that all these years looking back, I was trying to chase success and in a way, like also got it. So what it meant is like I continued to override all the body signals and everything that my gut was telling me that, oh, must start eating meals 3 times a day, not skipping meals, not skipping your workout classes to instead sit and work. And that's what I did, but I kept overriding it. But what happened with long COVID is it just made me realize that I cannot. I'm only 30. And if this is how I'm hit by a virus, like imagine what will happen if I was 50 and this was happening to me. And then it was that turning moment where I realized that success is gonna be okay, good. Like today, without, let's say, money or like our opportunities, we wouldn't be able to connect. So I always like, I'm grateful for everything that worked out. But really, long COVID taught me that we have to at some point in our lives start defining what relationship we have, and for our bodies to show up for the times that we need, like for me to show up on this podcast or the next buyer meeting or a TED talk, I need to make the investment in my body so that it shows up for me when I need it. So I feel like that is something that success made me probably ignore, that my body is my first priority, because I would not exist if I did not have a good life or good health. And so started to make those small investments, whether it's eating good meals, found a nutritionist, fixed my diet. Is it completely fixed? No, still always can be better. But then also like started to take fitness very seriously. And thanks to that, like it, like mountain climbing isn't easy, or not for like, oh, let me just go do it because I feel like it. It requires like a certain discipline in your health and fitness journey. And I felt like after COVID is when I was also able to unlock some of these experiences because of investments that I made in my body and continue to do. So I don't know what it was for you, Manish, but I feel like mountain climbing is not easy, and you just climbed a base camp. What was
Yeah.
that for you?
Yeah, mountain climbing, as you mentioned, is not easy. I live in Bay Area, which is part of California, right? So here we do a lot of hiking, but it's not, mountain climbing. It's just normal hiking.
Exactly.
So when
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was, so I had this in my mind, to do Everest base camp for a long time, like 5 years, but never did that because of, no time. Whenever I go to India, it's always, occupied by family and everyone.
yeah,
So this time I was like, okay, I'm free. Let's do this. So there were things coming up every year, which were, asking you to not do it, your fitness, or there's something happening
yeah.
in political and geopolitical wise in
Sure.
Nepal and everything. But finally, we were able to do it. And every step I took, it was very hard because
Mhm.
the lack of oxygen and, temperature was so less. But
Yeah,
people around me, they were motivating. Even one day, they have to push my body also. Like, Manish, you can do this. Give me your bag, give me everything.
yeah,
Just carry your body, because the
yeah.
people are everywhere. We have, like, in our group there were people helping. They
Nice.
carry our backpack and everything.
Yeah,
So we just like the they have made such a easy, like, we just have to put our body from one place to another place and they will carry everything, because they are used to it. I've seen
yeah,
people
yeah.
carrying 100 kilos of weight on in Everest, like they are so trained
Wow.
because they are grew up over there.
Hmm.
We, as people who are living on the valley, like, base and
Yeah, yeah.
everything, so we are not used to that, yeah, to that.
Yeah, and I think you should give yourself a lot of credit there, because even if, let's say, somebody, which you and I are very grateful for, are able to take up backpacks in that journey, like for your body to show up for you to be like, oh, this has been my bucket list item. That is altitude sickness, that is headache, but your body like showed up for you in those moments, like to be able to complete that journey. And I feel like a lot of times in my mountain climbing journey, it would have not happened if like I didn't like use COVID as a turning point to really invest in my diet and my fitness. And then I feel like the body, if you respect your body, the body will then let you reap the rewards of showing
Give
up
it
for when
back to
you
you,
want
yeah.
it.
That
Hmm.
is true. Yeah. Sounds good. So, let's turn our discussion around, starting Ayurvedist. I know you talked about a little bit in the beginning. Just want to understand the founder story from your words.
Hmm.
So basically, what I'm trying to understand is, when did your personal healing journey turn into the idea of Ayurvedist? What
Hmm.
made you think about this should exist? Because there's already a lot of brands of teas out there. So why did you start this?
Good question. I actually, Manish, like wasn't looking to start another brand. Like I already had Nama Water. It was going well. It's still going well. It's a bootstrap business. And what happened is 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago, I was again like being myself, like trying to travel and check all the bucket list items from my list while also building Nama Water, which meant that I'm going to trade shows, I'm doing customer demos and buyer meetings. So I'm all over and I'm running like high on caffeine. And what happened is like there was a moment where I went back to India and I was like, I don't feel good. So let me go see a doctor. And turns out I had like chronic acid reflux. And again, these are things that I had never heard of. And these are like new things entering my life post COVID, post entrepreneurship. And so I started to take things seriously. And then while the doctor gave me everything to fix it temporarily, I also sought Ayurvedic help, meaning turn back to some of the things that were always in my family, but we ignored over the years because we're too busy to go back and do the neem turmeric, all the quick hacks that our grandparents always knew. So I really got relief, and I don't like to get into the details because if we speak of something and somebody else hears it without context, it might not work for them. So
Yeah.
just a quick summary that Ayurveda worked for me, and I realized that why does Ayurveda not feature in my life in America? Why do I have to come back to India to then remind myself that, hey, here are some more tools besides the medicines that you continue to take in order to fix certain things or ailments? How can I strengthen my gut? How can I do better? How do I not reach this state again? Ayurveda has all those answers. And then the moment I realized this is something we had forgotten, and I do not see that in my life, I saw that blank space. So went back, and that was also the time when I was looking for like diversifying what beyond Nama water. Let's say, should we do sparkling water? Should we do flavored water? But it did not feel genuine because it goes away from the mission of, hey, here's plastic water bottle. This is a solution for plastic pollution. So it didn't really make sense for me to go about creating sparkling water of sorts. So which is why took a step back, started to see look at tea space, because now that I'm like very well versed in food and beverage space, or at least so I think, wanted to see where I can add value. It could have been supplements, and it could have been like a roti,
Protein
or
or yeah.
exactly like a chutney. But just took my time, like almost 6 months, to understand what the market is, and realized tea was the one. And besides, like tea also, it also has several various benefits to consume in the form of tea versus like supplements. So I'll save you that.
Yeah, tell me more about that, right? So the way we drink Indian chai is, we boil water, add tea, patti, and the cardamom and
Yeah.
everything, and then we put milk after it boils, right? So is
Yeah.
there a problem in that?
No, no. And I'm also like, I should caveat, I'm not like an Ayurvedic expert. I'm always a student. So coming from that angle, I don't think Ayurveda has anything against chai, or to my extent, I know there are things you can do with it. I have never been a chai drinker personally. I've always been a coffee person. No offense. I'm very much still Indian with all my food choices except chai. But the thing was, that was also the time when I was running on too much caffeine that led to acid reflux. So I was looking for something that did not have caffeine. And some of these herbs that we're using, Manish, like triphala, ashwagandha, turmeric, these are best consumed when they are with hot water. You know it, like warm
Okay.
water does so much good. So that's where the warmth of these herbs with hot water was always the idea of Ayurveda. It was never supposed to be cold, or at least Ayurveda did not support it. So which is why instead of, let's say, gummies or supplements, we went the tea route.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. I would definitely like to try the product. Which market currently you cater to?
We usually we're actually in 33 locations, 33, 35 locations in all over like Bay Area, New York, some co-ops in Washington and Maryland. Basically anywhere and everywhere where people have an elementary understanding of Ayurveda, or have like in some form interacted with these herbs, whether it's like your friend telling you about ashwagandha, or oh, I found this on TV, my influencer was talking about it, to being like, oh, is this safe for me? And you have all of these questions. So we're trying to reach those customers who may or may not have heard, but who know that there are benefits in it, but just not sure what form to take in. And that's where our teas come in. I can go about again, like why not supplements and why to
Mm.
get started with teas, but
Yeah.
this is the safest form. Like, and we really care about transparency. Like in our next teas, we're like labeling how much of each of the herbs are going to be there, and you will, if you want to Google, you'll see all of it is always below the recommended level for the day, because there are so many caveats that come with Ayurveda, right? Like it's not for everybody. If you have some underlying conditions, or if you're taking any medicines, you should always consult a doctor, and especially if you're like a woman, pregnant, or trying to conceive and everything around it. Ayurveda is something you move with caution. So what we wanted to do with teas is, of course, we have those disclaimers here, but we wanted to make it safe and consumable for anybody who does not have a basic understanding, but knows that, hey, I want like the benefits that ashwagandha can get. I want to sleep better. I want to feel calmer when I feel like I have 100 projects open. I need to feel grounded. So we have teas for each, and we're at the end of the day using Ayurveda for
Wow.
it.
You're doing such a good for the community and helping people. I think people are not aware about it. So one thing I think that's what you do, right? So you go to the trade shows and everything to promote your
Yeah.
brand and awareness, right? So yeah, that's where Yeah, you answered my, one of the questions that I researched was why tea out of all the possibilities. So I think you did that. What gaps do you see in the US wellness market that exist in the Ayurvedic brands were not filling?
hmm Good question. I feel Europe, generally like researching Ayurveda outside of India, Europe is more receptive. Like I go see, and there is like a candy that's Ayurveda in Europe, in Germany, Switzerland, Netherlands. They are very well educated about Ayurveda versus America. What I see is it is still like tiptoeing its way into Ayurveda because a lot of brands, even though they have some of these Ayurvedic herbs, they rebrand themselves as calming tea, cooling tea, and not necessarily like going all out saying, hey, this is Ayurvedic, because there is this preconceived notion that Ayurvedic means it's going to not taste good or it's kind of a medicine. That's always been the impression. And with Ayurvedist, our goal is to change it because thanks to social media, we're able to communicate that message that it does not have to taste like dirt. It does not have to taste like medicine for it to do good or for it to be called Ayurvedic. So that's the gap that I saw. And I realized that there is still like that education aspect that we need to continue to fulfill. And thanks to you, like with this podcast, with more messaging on social media, we're trying to educate customers that, hey, you are looking for solution. And I know people are not there to like pop another supplement of chemicals they cannot pronounce. Here are natural supplements in a way that is safe and crafted by experts. This is also something you could explore if it's a fit for you.
Got it. Okay. What was the first concrete step you took after deciding to start, like sourcing, foundation, branding, or something else?
Mhm. Once I saw that, oh, like personally, I have benefited from these herbs, and then I'm like, so what else? How would I consume it? Like, I'm also like a very picky consumer in the sense that I love my coffee. I was never a tea drinker. I would love to only eat things that satisfy my palate and wouldn't like anything bitter. So had definitely a higher standard for taste and formulation, but before even I could get there, like wanted to see, knowing my learnings from Nama Water, I knew that supply chain has to be a super important. Can I even do this like as a business to bring this brand about? And so like spend almost 6 months figuring out what are we going to do to get the supply chain right. It's still work in progress, but at least like we've found supplier partners. As much as America loves that, oh, everything is made in America, all of these ingredients have to come from abroad. Um, because there is no way rooibos is growing in America. It grows from South Africa, even if our production is in the States. Like we have to buy these herbs, and similarly for the other herbs. So yeah, I think that was like the most amount of time I spent doing a lot of research in the background, and then playing around with formulations, and then the following steps of like getting like people to try and taste. And I should send you some teas too. We're always looking for feedback, always looking to iterate. So I'd
Mhm.
love to know at some point what you think of the teas, so it goes in the next version of the feedback.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to promote your brand with my yoga community also, and
Thank
my
you.
friends and family. So that will be great.
I'm always
So
curious, Manish, like, are you a tea drinker or a coffee person? I know you said chai, but if you were to pick between tea and coffee.
I really like coffee, but
Okay.
after getting married, I my wife is a tea drinker, so she
hmm
always makes chai in the morning. So I was,
Got it.
and she makes very delicious chai and also
Nice.
food.
That's a hard
So I
one.
was always like, मेरे लिए भी चाय बना.
Yes. Got it.
So yeah, but I like both, but more of a coffee drinker, yeah. To answer your question.
And I know this is not a other way around podcast, but I'm also curious, like, what kind of Ayurveda do you have in your life, like, or what's your experience?
Yeah, I think it's all about being healthy, and healthy when I say it's all about, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So
hmm
physically we go to the gym or we do yoga. I think that what
Yeah.
make you happy. Like, if I don't go to the gym one day, I will feel sad. So I make sure I go to the gym every day, even if I'm busy. It's all about priority. You can just take, 1 hour from your day. And then mentally, I listen to some satsangs in the morning or sometimes when I'm driving to make your mind also healthy.
Yeah.
And emotionally, sometimes you connect emotionally with your with your wife, with your mom, dad. So that's how you keep yourself healthy. And also spending more time in the nature, that
Yeah.
also helps. So more you travel, more you go in the nature. That also I really like. Before I was an city guy. Let's go to like Paris. Let's go to New York City. Those are
Yeah,
more also very awesome. Like one of my favorite city is Paris and
uh,
New York. But now I'm more into you. Let's go to the wilds. Let's go to the nature. Let's go
let's
to
climb
South
Everest
America.
base camp.
Climb Mount Everest. Now this year we have
Yeah,
some plans to go to Annapurna Base Camp.
that's
Uh,
amazing.
we also have plans to go to, Costa Rica, South America, and things like that. So whenever I find time, I just go and book the flights. Yesterday we booked like, 7, 8 flights for
That's
the next
amazing.
next 3, 4 months.
That's
So
awesome.
that was good. And I'm going to China also, yeah, in 2 months,
Mhm.
which is great.
A lot of traveling and then balancing it with the tools that you have, whether it's in yoga, fitness, Ayurveda. That's good.
Yeah, that's true. So my next question is, what part of building the first product took far longer than you expected? What was the biggest operating challenges, sourcing, regulation, was it distribution or retail?
I think I would answer that twofold. There's always like on the operation side, how are you even going to bring this to life? Because sure, teas exist out there, which means there are producers of tea, there are manufacturers of tea, but how are you going to connect to the one that is good for you? Because we're also like just starting out. So operationally, that's always a challenge for new brands, whether it's for Nama Water or for Ayurvedist. That always takes the longest, and that's something I underestimated for number one. And then knowing that it's going to take long, I was always emailing and cold outreaching to anybody and everybody who I could reach out to for Tico packing. So that was one. But on the other hand, like that is almost like not a problem in the sense that unless you know there is distribution or customers, all of this is going to go to waste, even if you've cracked this problem. So on the other hand, I would say like the number one problem is always like understanding how are you going to distribute, not necessarily a problem, but if you're like looking to start or you are thinking, hey, I could make this chutney or I could make this next best thing, next best seller that is not on the market. The first thing I would ask myself is how are we going to distribute it and who is the ideal customer for it? And that's where like I spend a lot of time while like doing all the emails and research of co-packers and where I'm going to make it is like going out there and seeing what are some of the existing customers, who are the existing customers for Nama Water that will buy or can stock Ayurvedist as a complementary product. So already thinking and laying down the foundation for distribution is always critical. And you know it in tech as well. Like it's so much about where do you distribute that will almost become a differentiator eventually. And for CPG, it's also very true where it takes a long time, but it's where sales are, and then it's also a way that you will connect to people who are looking for a product like yours.
Got it. I was always curious to understand, I was also thinking to start something, like a healthy brand,
Hmm.
and bring it to the US, like, like millet roti or,
Yes.
bajra roti and things like that. So, any challenges you face by, launching something in the US because there's FDA regulations and then
Yeah.
most of the products come from outside, as you mentioned,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and how you label it. Is it like, you ship everything, then you package everything in the US? Is that
Yes.
how it happens? Okay.
Yes, yes, that's what happens with the teas, but there are several options that you can take, right? Like if you have something like you love a product that you see in India, you can maybe buy licensing rights or you could get it made in India and then shipped here. It will have the label made in India. We went the route where we do buy these ingredients from all over the world and most of them are coming from Sri Lanka and then we hand pack it here in California. And that said, like with the changing tariff situation, it has become a lot more difficult. That's not to discourage anybody. It's just like there are more regulatory steps to take now than there were before. But it's not impossible. At the end
Mm,
of the day, it's how passionate you are to make this thing a
yeah.
life product is what will determine how far or how fast you get through some of these hurdles. But I would say we're not the first ones to have these problems. The good news is like if whether it's this millets roti or tea, there are other brands out there doing it. Maybe reaching out to them and asking how they're handling it is also one of the best things that happened to me. This advice somebody gave that, oh, because you're not the first and special person doing it, go ask somebody else. And then that's
Mm,
really helped me open up doors, like connect to brokers, connect to people who have done great things for our business. It's only happened through people who have been there, done that. So always keep your eyes out for connecting more and more.
Yeah, and people are so helpful out there, right? So that is one thing. Yeah, I think you are right. Also, have you seen like challenge in like putting your product in Costco, Walmart because they have a leverage of 9 months of. I was researching, Costco takes 9 months of time to put your product in their shelf and things like that.
Mhm. I have looked into it, Manish, but given that we're still a new brand, we're trying to nail what is our packaging looking like, what message is resonating with customers. So it's in a way very useful to do this pilot where how do we go out? Like for example, I did like 20 plus demos last year, literally 3 hour sessions in a grocery store trying to get people to try our product because we're selling in the store. So that drives sales. But what it also did is like gave me a lot of feedback firsthand as to what's the first reaction when people taste the hibiscus tea? What is the first reaction when people taste ashwagandha tea? So it's helped us iterate. And I feel like we're still in that stage where this year we want to continue investing in understanding what our customers are looking for and how our products can continue to deliver that. And once we've nailed it, we want to go to the giants because then we would have established this trust with our customers that, hey, this brand delivered. Like I wanted this, I didn't like the taste, and now it's better but it has the same benefits. Okay, so I'm going to go buy them at Costco when it's
Hmm.
available. So I feel like we're still in a stage where we want to lay down the groundwork this year, and then next year, like a Costco, and like you were right, like it takes like 9 months for them to get us brand, get any brand ready to get into Costco. So that also means like you have to have a foolproof supply chain. You cannot be out of stock. You have to comply, and there is like more paperwork needed in order to make sure you are compliant with the type of packaging they need, like whether it's on a pallet, it's a certain size. In order to sit in the store, can you invest in like road shows across the country? So all of that planning, I feel for a good reason they delay it and they take 9 months or longer. And so in some cases, like Walmart, those some of the good partners are the ones that already tell you no because they know that you will not be able to deliver, and that's not a bad thing. It only
Hmm.
means that it's not now. You can definitely do that later. And I feel like last year one of the things we did was I was like, oh, I launched this, I've done Nama Water, I'm gonna take this nationwide, and I'm glad some of the national retailers said us no, but we still established relationship, and then now we're in good terms, and now realizing that it's a 2 to 3 year journey, not just like, hey, this buyer said no and it's end of it. It's never like that in the food space.
Yeah, I think that is a very, and it's a very, you should be very passionate about this because, it's a very operational heavy work compared to
Yes.
where you were coming from, like a soft, like,
Yes.
you were a product manager, right?
I did several roles. One of them was product operations. Yeah.
Yeah, product operation. So, going to the product operation, coming to this, which is, owning your own company, I think
Yeah.
it's a
Sitting
different
behind the
thing.
desk and obviously like still working 24 hours, but it was a different job versus having to be out there everywhere at once.
Yeah. So what was the hardest part about launching an Ayurvedic brand in the US market? Was it like, the regulations or was it something else?
Um, I'd say regulations definitely, but also it's very well spent time that the longer you understand the space and the more you spend time, the less mistakes you will make. So obviously not saying that you gotta sit on every problem and take forever to solve it versus like just be like have a good understanding, good enough understanding to then move on to the next step. So for us, it was like from labeling to sourcing to distribution at every step. I felt like it took longer, but all for good reasons.
Yeah, and was this all the steps handled by you or you have a team?
I did do a lot of groundwork, but luckily I do have a team member who is overseas. She's from Sri Lanka, and she helps out. She's a partnerships and ops lead, so she helps out with all sorts of things. She's almost like a chief of staff. And then we also have somebody in Southern California who does help with our social. She's incredible. She's a Ayurvedic expert herself, so it really helps to have that expertise and experience already coming in, especially as a brand that is trying to put out more authentic messaging, having her expertise on the team is helpful.
Got it. So in order to summarize, so the tea that you manufacture, the teas come from Sri Lanka. You ship it to California. Ship in the California, all the packaging happens, and
Mhm.
then the box and everything is made from China, is it? Or you also do it somewhere else?
Um, we buy it from a Sri Lankan co-packer, but we pack all of this here in Southern California because, like I said, it's impossible to bring any of these herbs. They're mostly grown in the home country, especially like India also has some of these herbs. Triphala is coming from there. We assemble all in Sri Lanka and then bring it here to California and then package it. And most of our customers here in Northern California.
Why only Sri Lanka did you choose? Why not any other place like India, Assam, or China?
We looked at Indian co-packers. We were just too small for some of the Indian co-packers. Sri Lanka just so happened that they were very good, like very professional people we work with and have immense respect, and they were willing to take a chance with us because a lot of times when you're starting out, you have less bargaining power because it's also the co-packer that's taking a chance with you because they have a very good well-functional business for the most part if they have machinery invested. So for them to take a step back and do a smaller run, like we're not producing tens of thousands of quantities at once, so it's always a small run. So having a co-packer who understands that they need to meet us where we are at is like a challenge in the beginning, but we ended up finding somebody in Sri Lanka.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense. So finding your first customer is always a challenge, and once you find it, that feeling is so amazing. So how did you find your first real customer, and what made you realize that this could actually work, and then you can scale it?
That's a good point. Actually, I was a customer of my customer, meaning I used to go to Woodlands Market a lot and notice they have like the next generation teas. They were some of the first ones to innovate and have newer products, which meant that they were very startup friendly, but also was a nice upscale grocery store in the location close to my house, close to where most of the tech offices are in San Francisco. And I realized that, hey, why don't I start talking to the buyer here? And then so inquired, and I got the buyer's email, and then wrote to her several back and forth. And then they were also very nice and patient because, like I said, they were working with smaller brands and smaller local brands, and that helped because they were understanding that even though they had said yes, we will work with you. There was still 3 months till we produced the product, so went and produced the product and got it back to them, and then all the paperwork and everything. It almost took 6 months from the time they said yes to actually getting it in the store. But how I ended up finding it is just being that authentic, taking an authentic approach where, oh, I like the store. I see Nama Water or Ayurvedist being a fit for the store. Let me see if our values align, whether this is a product they like, and then understand what their feedback is. And if it works out, it's a fit. And it did for Woodlands Market, for example. And then we took it from there.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So here in the Bay Area, right? So as I mentioned, I'm also interested in opening a healthy
Yes.
brand. So I went to one of the. I did not open anything. I just it takes a lot of effort and
Yeah.
everything to figure out.
Yeah.
So you have to leave your full-time job. I think it's a full-time
Mhm.
job in itself. So I went to
Yeah.
some of the stores and they mentioned, yeah, why not you ship some rice, rotis, and all healthy
Yeah.
part, and we
Yeah.
are happy to put that on the shelf. So I
Mhm.
think those are your real customers. They can do it.
Exactly.
The only thing is figuring out, which is not new. You can also ask and get advice, like where to ship it from, where to package, and
Yes.
FDA regulations. And I don't know, like from the regulation perspective, which labels to put. I think people are there
Yeah.
to.
I
Uh,
can help you.
y-
We can talk about it, or if I don't know, I'll put you in touch with somebody else. But like you mentioned, like generally people in the entrepreneurship space are very helpful. People are out there because they would have gone through these struggles, and they're more than willing to share. And it's the first hard part, Manish, like where it's you don't know because it doesn't exist and you've never done it, but that also becomes a very rewarding journey looking back. So I'm excited for whenever you decide to take that step.
yeah, thank you so much. Just summarizing, like what regulations and any food brand has to go through in the US.
Good point. Having a good co-packer actually solves a lot of those things. Meaning, as long as your co-packer has those necessary certifications, and by co-packer I
I
mean any
see.
like a manufacturer who's manufacturing on your behalf, also called as a co-packer. You probably already know that. If they are willing to produce your product, they usually have the SQF certification, FDA
Mhm.
compliance, and let's say anything specific, let's say for organic teas, the organic certification, they also need to be certified. So you could go around vetting and shopping for some of these co-packers who have the necessary certifications that you, let's say, read up online and be like, oh, for my category, whether it's teas or whether it's roti, like these are the certifications I need. And then when you're talking to a co-packer, you could already ask them, hey, so tell me about your certification. So it really helps to have a co-manufacturer. And let's say if that is like a bigger step, they say, oh, you should make 10,000 units, but you are at a stage where you want to start with 100 or 200, then you could rather like go to a commercial kitchen. And the commercial kitchen also usually has some of these requirements, because those are the places where you can go in and make your product, but they take care of like the regulations aspect. So with
Regulation aspect,
respect to
yeah.
FDA, like they will be able to pass on more guidance and also their certifications to you. So if I'm manufacturing in a USDA organic facility, then it's much easier for me to call the product organic, versus like having to go through the route of then figuring out, hey, where in the supply chain can I get, or even if I'm buying organic herbs, how does it translate to me? But having a good co-packer can help solve that problem.
Got it. Okay. Uh, and your co-packer, you mean with the guy shipping from Sri Lanka or the guy who is like packaging everything in
Everybody
California?
in the supply chain for us is a co-packer. Like the people in Sri Lanka is a co-packer. People who are hand packing them here in California also are considered co-packer. We might move it to Ohio for a bit, because they have a better facility. But like I said, right now we do not have organic, and we're in this. Even though we're buying organic herbs, we cannot call it organic because our current supplier doesn't, co-packer doesn't. So this Ohio
I
co-packer
see.
we found has the facility that's organic certified. So it might be easier to then have the logo slapped here, and we're learning it. So this is one of the things that I have learned very early on with Nama Water is you don't need to wait till you have the best solution out there. Like we could have waited till we had the organic logo, but in our first iteration in the last 6 8 months, we've been just very vocal to our customers. Every buyer, every person, we're like, what you're sipping is organic herbs. Here is a certificate that people in Sri Lanka who we bought this from have, but we do not have it, so we're not able to label it. We've been telling this message to our customers. Doesn't stop us from calling it organic. We just can't call it on the label. But as we look into, let's say, getting into a national retailer, so this is like the next step of the business, we will look at that certification. So let's look at the next co-packer in Ohio. So all I'm saying is don't wait. Just like
Yeah, yeah,
see what's best you can do and then get started and then iterate from there. And you
yeah,
probably do that in product as a product manager, right?
yeah.
Just
Hmm.
before ship it, fix it, iterate.
So what's the mistake you have done in the journey of launching this, which you would like to share so that people can learn from it?
Um, That's a good, so many. I don't know which one to talk about. So many mistakes, but already being okay with the fact that you will be making mistakes. For example, for us, like, we went with like a co-packer who was good enough in the beginning. And then as we're trying to scale, we're realizing that they might not be the same co-packer who can help us scale to a national retailer who we're actively trying to pitch, so that we get into those stores about 6 to 12 months later. So thinking through like, could I have waited and found more co-packers? Sure. But getting started is always the first step, but don't stop investing in doing that work so that you continue to think about some of these problems that are not, even though they're not on the horizon, they might come up. So like I said, get started, do everything, go with somebody who's taking a chance with you, but continue investing in relationships.
Mhm.
Continue looking at, hey, 6 months later, will this person or this co-packer be good enough? Will this ingredient supplier still be good enough? And then at every step, trying to think 6 to 12 months later. And if I feel like 6 months earlier I had started, I would have been in a much better situation to be very confidently saying that, oh, I'm ready for a national retailer today, whether it's Costco knocking at my door or I'm going to them. But now I feel like we're now like my teammate is in Sri Lanka vetting suppliers every day and meeting for like last 2 weeks to make sure that we have that solid partnership for the that's going to take us to the next level.
Got it. Okay. That totally makes sense. So as an immigrant founder, were there any invisible barriers you didn't expect when building a company in the US?
Interesting question. I would say maybe I don't know if it's an immigrant problem, but what I know is it's definitely a tech problem, meaning like my background being in tech and I'm venturing in like food
Hmm.
and beverage, like whether it's Nama Water or Ayurvedist teas, it was a completely different field and not in India. Like I don't know if it would have made any difference for me. Like if I was working in Google India and then starting a product in India. Um, I would have had similar challenges, I feel, that I have today in America. And that's where I have enough problems related to not being in the industry that I've never thought if this is like an immigrant problem or not. But the good news is, like I said, everybody is out there to help you,
Yeah,
whether you are from the space or not. And there are so many people who have very well established relationships in the food space. They know who to reach out to because they've been doing, let's say, food businesses for a while. Their families have been in food businesses. But there are always going to be people, right? And that's why, like, the more you look at opportunities that exist, the less you have time to feel like, oh, these are the things that are holding me back. Because if you look for them, there will be plenty. So from my
right.
perspective, it was always about like the industry, um, let's say, noviceness that I had
Yeah.
versus like having to do this in a new country.
Yeah, I was listening. That is truly said. I was listening to one of the podcasts from Raj Shamami, and one of it recently launched with the GM of another company. They also mentioned, the markets which will grow in the future and where which are more profitable. One is the food industry, health market. If you are
Yeah,
helping people get more healthier.
yeah,
By protein wise, or the minerals or vitamins that will
right.
grow much fuller. So I think that is because people are so busy eating
Yeah,
junk food and everything. So I think that is one area which I think you are already doing it, like tea market, but it's a very big market. You can
yeah,
expand towards like a lot. Um, I was thinking, in the US we have a lot of shops of bubble tea, which is also
uh,
another form of chai, which is Asian
yes.
chai. There's no one who's making a fusion of bubble tea with Indian flavors, something like
Maybe
that,
that's
right?
you, Manish.
Yeah, let's do that. But I've seen one shop in India. So India is very pick
Yeah,
like very quick in picking up these ideas. So
yeah,
I saw one of the stalls in Chandigarh or Ludhiana where they're making bubble tea with Indian flavors. So
that's
something
an
like that
excellent idea.
in the Bay Area market where there's a lot of Indians might be a
Yeah,
pretty good. Yeah, just letting some of the ideas. So I'm
of
I'm filled
course.
with ideas, but the thing is, the holding me back is the job, as well as with the job you have to invest a lot of time. You have to leave
Yeah,
a job or something,
yeah,
and then the not the failure, but where to start and which product
yeah,
to start from. There's a lot of things. So
sure.
now we have tools like ChatGPT and all, but
Yeah.
founders like you basically helps. Yeah.
Thank you. And you know what, Manish, like you're not alone. It's something that I have faced, everybody has faced. Like, uh, I don't know about the people who have overnight success of launching a brand and suddenly, like, first year we made 1 million, good for them. We're not one of those brands because also like we have bootstrapped the brand, and like I was in a similar situation at Google where I wanted to leave Google in 2018, but it took me 2022 to leave my job. Like 4 years later is when I started the business. On all this while, I've been meaning every day to leave my job and do something of my own. Just recognize that it's going to be a journey. It's almost like it's preparing you to a point where, or at least for me, I was at a point where I couldn't do a job anymore. I was like, I must do this. Otherwise, it's going to be for whatever markers I had in life. I felt like it's going to be too late after that, or after this point, I might not, I might convince myself to be out of it. So that is where give yourself, cut some slack, sit through
Yeah.
the ideas, see the ones that stick, and then we should continue talking. Happy to chat offline as well.
Yeah. Any advice to the new founders? So can they start this, side brand parallelly with their full-time job?
Yes, you can, because that's what I did. I did lay out a lot of groundwork, especially the operational things, which I said they are problematic in the sense that because you do not know the space, you invest a lot of time in it. So it's like one step about operations that you can already do on the side, and that's what I did with Nama Water. I had found my co-packer, found like talked to like hundreds of people before that, established some founder relationships, some mentors who've been doing there in the food space, who I looked up to, who were guiding me. So all those things I was able to do, but only when I left Google is when I first got my first customer. I feel like I could have done that before, but like you mentioned, like life gets busy. You're already working on that promotion at work, and then you want to do
Yeah.
justice to your job. So you can be realistic, but also it doesn't stop you from reaching while you already have a job.
Yeah. And my next question is all about, the practical advice for the founders. So if someone wants to start a wellness brand or CPG brand in the US, what should they validate before quitting their job?
Good question. I would say definitely be passionate about what you feel you want to build. in the sense that whether it's a supplement brand, whether it's like Ayurvedic chutney, whether it's millets roti, know that you must love your product for it to come alive. Because there are so many challenges at every step, like everything is unknown, like you called out, like what the label requirement should be, what is FDA compliance, who's going to manufacture my product, who's going to buy it. There are so many unknowns at every step. So my first advice would be just know that everything is going to be unknown and be prepared to go on that journey, and don't be in a rush that the answers are not unfolding in like a day or two of you researching. It might take time. It's always slower than you expect. So going in with that mindset has helped me. Second time, let's say starting out a brand, that I was not in a rush or not expecting magical result that, hey, today's launch day, I did like 1 year of prep work to bring this alive and now I'm going to get sales. It might not work that way unless you have laid out all the work. So be patient. It's a journey. It's overnight success is going to be great on paper. I wish that for you. But if it takes time, then it's totally normal.
Yeah. Let's take an example. So that is truly said. So, for example, I came up with a new idea today, like a food
Yeah,
idea. Let's start a makhana business. Makhana
sure.
is you call some nuts in English,
Oxford.
fox nuts. Yeah. So you want to start that business because you think that that is more healthier version of
Yeah,
fried Lays or some chips,
chips.
right?
Hmm.
So how will a person start the groundwork all the way end to launching the company?
That's a good one. And this can be a whole podcast altogether, but I'll try to give a quick.
Just quick 1 minute summary. Yeah.
Sure, sure. I think number one, I would have something that I love. Like let's say I made it with Maggi masala, and I like a close. Like I have a recipe or something that I tried where I'm like, oh, this is the best makhana I've had, and I go and try out all the other brands that are in the market. Even in the US market, there are a lot of makhana brands. By the way, one of them what my friend is doing. I can send you the link. It's called Let Me Snack, and they do a lot of like mint makhana, very delicious makhanas. I would go out and research every makhana out there that I feel is my competitor. If there is like Ayurvedic makhana that you want to create and there's no Ayurvedic, then oh, there you go. There's a blank space. And then I would also research like what are they missing? Like are the ingredients clean? Do they have flavors? And what can I do better than them? What are some of my values that I want to create? So nailing those two will help you be more confident that not only do you have something that you liked, whether it's this really delicious makhana recipe, plus like knowing that out there I am better, like almost like the story that you want to develop as a hypothesis, not saying like, oh, convince yourself into this, but be realistic that, hey, it's truth. Like everybody else has natural or artificial flavors. We're the ones that are using real herbs, and that's what makes us different. And this is what makes it more healthier. This is 100 times healthier than that. Now that you've established that you are in that stage where this must exist, you're your biggest advocate. I would then go about to be like, so how am I going to make it? So then whether it's like a commercial kitchen where you're going to either create this yourself, or whether it's a co-packer who's going to create like thousand boxes of this for you, whoever that is, I would invest some time to do that and see realistically who can do it first and which one is giving me a better price. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to manufacture for $10 when the selling price is going to be $3. So being realistic about whether you have to choose a commercial kitchen or a co-packer would be the second. And then third, be like, can I try get this in the hands of many people without cheaply, without having to invest or waste a lot of money? And that's what I did with the teas particularly. Got some samples from the co-packer. This was not even like in the sachets that we have. These were still tea bags, and what I would do is like to host tea parties and like give it to some of my neighbors, give it to some of the people when it was just tea bag. It wasn't even like nice packaged product like this. So I would say like going through those steps to validate and not tell people, hey, this is my product. Just be like, hey, what do you think about this tea? My friend is working on it. When you are the one really working on it, to understand what do people usually think and what is their reaction. Like trust me, like I have seen people taste my
Right.
tea and be like, ew. And I'm like,
Right.
thank you. We've gone through those rounds like in like a session. And I was like, thank you. That was hard, but I got it. Like somebody's like, oh, this fennel is not nice. I'm like, noted. This is why I came here. So getting those kind of feedbacks early on has really helped. And I think while this does not have to be a podcast of on its own, it this like just like from understanding where the white space is, making sure you love it, to understanding how you're going to make it and get it out cheaply as possible is like a good first pilot journey. Then you can see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I think a lot of like as you mentioned, it can be a podcast in itself. There's a lot of like points and follow-up questions. But yeah, you rightly pointed, once we figure out these part, then you can for sure launch it. And one thing you rightly mentioned, if you would have said this is your company and the person drinking it would not have given you the right feedback and would have,
Yeah.
lied and saying, oh, this is great and all. So that is a
Yes,
great point saying that this is your friend's company or this some other's company, then you
exactly.
will
I'm
be.
just selling. Like I'm just like a supporter, I'm trying to get feedback.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome. So which skill from Google helped you to be a founder? Right now you
Yeah.
are. Which one don't translate at all? Which one and which do not?
A lot of things that I learned were at Google. The only job I had was my job at Google, although I like moved teams 6, 7 times, various different roles, nothing to do with what I was doing before. I learned a lot, but one thing that really I uncovered as I grew in my career and had really good bosses to help me was I really loved projects where there was little to no supervision. I always sought to create like, oh, let me create this dashboard when I do not have a background in dashboard building or I've never created a dashboard. And then I always had team members and managers who supported that kind of a project and gave me the tools and resources to figure it out. So that was a very nice way to learn it. But what I discovered is like, I love creating something 0 to 1 or something where I can do it end to end. With entrepreneurship, it translated in a way where, like I said, every step going from tech to food, everything is new, every step is unknown. So, understanding that at some point you will get deterred, but knowing that it's all going to be unknown, and then this is why you're taking the journey. And that's what helped me from tech to here, where at the end of the day, I'm choosing to do this. These are the kind of projects I like to do, whether it was at Google or outside. So, it really helped me. And the skills, let's say, that did not translate would be. Um, I don't know, actually.
I think
I think
mostly.
everything is for a reason.
Yeah,
Everything.
everything is for a reason. I agree. Like life teaches you a reason and then takes you forward and then you take the skills for your next career. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, if you were launching Ayurvedis from scratch today, what would you have done differently?
I would have, I will sound very old saying this, grown a lot more social media, like done a lot more social, especially while I had a job, like somebody is paying me on the side. I would start building like something on social media, meaning like, oh, already start talking to customers saying, hey, so this is Ayurvedist. Everything that I'm doing now, I could have done this like 2 years ago, for example. I would have done that. I am only starting now to then connect and create this authentic channel, let's say in the last 6 to 8 months. There's nothing stopping me doing it when I was at Google. So I would do that differently. So if you're
You're
still,
investing more time in social media and all.
yeah, like building your audience in the
Brand.
sense that
Yeah.
connecting more with people who you feel like are going to align with your values, whether you build a Makhana brand or a roti or like another tech product, how can you already connect with people who care about what Manish is building and
Hmm.
the kind of values and everything that you bring? Having an audience that's able to relate and then eventually be able to spread the word, even if they might not be the people buying your product, they might be advocates because they would have known Manish already.
Right. That makes sense. If someone adopted just one daily ritual for the next 30 days, what should that be?
I would love to say drink one Ayurvedist tea every day, but no. Okay. Um, you could do that. But I would say just taking care of yourself, is like something that I've been doing for myself and it's paid off. It's new, like in the last 5 years only, where I have like taken a different approach, meaning work is not running my life. I have a life and then work is a part of it, and understanding that you are responsible for taking care of your body and taking responsibility has helped me. So if you want, you could also, because it's worked for me, that take responsibility for your happiness, your body, your health, your relationships, and own it and see how life changes for you. But
Nice.
what about
And
you?
for me, like one ritual that has changed in the next 30 days, I would say like spending time on yourself, like going to
Yeah.
gym, like, going for walks, hiking and everything. Like I'm preparing for the next level of, base camp and maybe one day summit of Everest. So I have to be very physically fit. So just taking care
Yeah.
of that. But sometimes you have to enjoy your life also, right? So
Yes.
have those yummy food, which you can't have on daily basis. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's difficult, but you have to again, it's called train your mind, control your mind, train your mind so that you are stay focused. So staying focused
Yeah.
is a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So invest in yourself is your
Yeah.
daily ritual. That's awesome.
Cool. So let's spend some time in, looking at back reflection side. What does a good day in your body feel like now compared to few years ago?
I'd say like something that I feel every day, I would say I had a good day is when I have learned something new, um, and done something that I feel like has created impact, whether it's like doing something for the business, reaching out to five new customers, or getting um, a problem solved for one of my teammates, whatever that is, and then doing that is not costing me my sleep, or I'm not stressed, or I'm anxious about it, like trying to let go of that control or trying to see what that outcome is or anticipate it. And if I've navigated the day successfully without doing that, I would say it's a good day, especially like checking off the boxes with learning, creating impact, and not torturing myself with all the unnecessary emotions or things that come with it.
Nice, nice. If your younger self at Google, pushing nonstop, were listening to this episode, what would you tell her?
Please don't skip meals. Please. Like, I skipped so many meals. I would eat so poorly. That has contributed to how my gut is today, and like my reaction or my body's readiness for COVID. That I would go back and be like, I hope I'm not skipping meals and I am investing in fitness instead of like that extra 1 hour at work. I would totally go back and do that. I don't know about you,
Yes.
Manish. What would you
So
do?
skipping meals basically hurts your body, is it?
It does, and like not getting into too much detail, but poor diet, a lot of work stress, and lifestyle stress can also hurt the reproductive system, at least in women. So I know there are like certain markers, whether it's AMH, like level of eggs, like the number of eggs, not necessarily fertility, but definitely meals, lifestyle, stress has an impact. And if I knew there were these tests I could do at every age, whether it's 25, 30, to keep these markers in check, and how like my choices on an everyday basis, like instead of having a proper breakfast, having coffee and croissant would hurt and translate to me skipping meals and what it does to my gut and overall health, I would go back and change it.
Yeah, actually, you're raising a very good point. What is missing right now is a feedback loop. Like whatever
Yeah,
we eat, right? What does it do to our body, right? We don't
yeah,
know. We just keep on eating and eating, right? We just think that this is healthy, but
yeah,
nobody's telling us in terms of, I don't know whether it's an app or whether it's something else. Like, okay, what you ate is something causing bad to your body, right? So until you do the
exactly.
exam, yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Maybe you could come up with that app. You're a product manager. You could be like, this AI app is telling us, hey, you ate a croissant. This has impacted your gut in this way, or you did this, something like that, or this is your score for a daily basis. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. We'll make the app. No worries. One day. So finally, what does living well mean to you today?
Eating healthy, staying fit, having relationships that are intimate and rewarding and authentic, and then creating an impact just outside of yourself. Like, I feel like a lot of my 20s were about my promotion, my next adventure, my bucket list item, my next big thing. But now, as we think and grow older, I feel like for me, it's become even more important that beyond my health, fitness, and my relationships, it's also like, what am I doing outside to give back or at least
Yeah.
contribute positively, whether it's to a friend and being there for them, or whether it's to somebody I do not know and find a way to contribute to them, or through the brands. How do we give back? How do we create value? It's something that I start to feel increasingly I am responsible for. So I feel like if I'm able to do that, I feel that's living well.
Yeah, I think that's rightly said. So, I think Deepika, this is what I have for now. It was great to have you in my channel and learn so much things about your journey, how you started a brand, where you came from, you left your job, and I learned so many things. I hope the audience also learned something. One piece of advice or something you want to give as a closing thought, what would that be?
I just read, because this is top of mind, I just read this quote a few weeks back. Until death, every defeat is psychological. So I know in the news it can be very dark with everything going on around us and then everything going on in the world. Like it might feel like, oh, my job isn't going well, my relationship is not going well. But just know, like going back to that quote, like everything is psychological in the sense that you can still make a difference and it's not defeat until you're actually dead. So I always keep going back to the quote where, yeah, that makes sense. Like we have to wake up every day, keep pushing, keep doing our part, be responsible, create an impact, no matter how
Yeah.
hard it can be or how hard it can seem. So I would say that because I've been trying to live by it.
Yeah.
What would it be for you?
Basically motivating yourself every day, right? Uh,
Yes.
For me, I think it's resonate the same thing. We are not the same person every day, so
Yeah.
keep on motivating yourself, and towards your goal. You should have your goal and vision, what you want to be in, next month, 3 months, 1 year, and then I feel like having a mentor also helps you,
Mhm.
and finding that mentor. It can be guru, it can be like
Yes.
spiritual guru, or the professional guru,
Sure.
who have achieved something, and then you
Yeah.
aim to do that one day.
Yeah.
So that also helps you because they have done that because of some, persistence work, some
Yeah.
consistency, some focus in their life. So that also helps you. Sometimes here and there it's fine, but you are still focused towards achieving. So I feel like that is also sometimes help. Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Cool.
I've also benefited. We'll take it offline, but yeah, makes sense. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
sounds good. If you were in the real world here, I would have shaken hand with you. Like, thanks for coming, but we can
Of
do a
course.
virtual shake hand.
Yes.
But thanks for coming,
Thank you,
virtually in my
Manish.
show. And we'll have more podcasts like this on different topic based upon, what people say. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for doing the good work of bringing out more voices and promoting small entrepreneurs like myself. So I appreciate what you're doing. It was great chatting with you.
Thank you.